Hello, guys. Welcome to this episode of TED Thoughts. Today, we're going to be talking about pain. And it's very relevant for me because a couple days ago, I was mountain biking very fast down a hill in a tank top, and I shredded all the skin off my back. It hurt. It hurt. And I'm in this place right now where I'm grateful for the pain, and I'm not letting it faze me, and I'm choosing not to be a victim of it, because this past year has been so challenging that the struggle is what has shaped me and changed me as a man. It's funny because if I rewind a couple years, I remember I was complacent and life was pretty easy. And as the masculine, I wanted to shift it up. I wanted a challenge. So I kind of chose the wrong challenge. I chose to separate in my relationship when probably the right challenge was to go make a feature-length film, which is a tough thing. And I got the challenge of my mom got diagnosed with cancer, and I lost $1.5 million in crypto. And then also the relationship, I was like, what am I doing? Why did I do that? That was kind of dumb. I love that person. And it has shaped me and continues to shape me. The death of my mother, the financial lessons, and I forget what the saying is, but there's like things that are good you don't really have to pay that much attention to, but things that are hard you are forced to pay attention to them. That's why just like going on YouTube and learning from other people are good, but like actually experiencing it and actually experiencing failure, that's what creates lessons. And Jeff Bezos has this amazing saying where, from way back in the day, where he said, not taking action is what causes stress. You're better off to take action and fail and feel the pain of that, so that way you can actually learn and grow. And so today, as I'm like literally in all this physical pain in my body, I'm like, okay, let's accept this. Let's see this as a sign from the universe, because I realize that all the other pain that I've been in actually has been a blessing. And I wonder if you believe the same thing, where you've had a depression or some kind of horrible event that changes the course of your life, and you would not have had the things you have today. You wouldn't know the things you have to know today if it wasn't for that lesson. You wouldn't have integrated it if it wasn't for that. So let's go deeper on this. And something that I want to talk about that's a big part of pain is addiction. And it's bigger than just addiction. It also involves procrastination and perfectionism. All these wounds wrapped into one that cause it. These wounds. I'm like literally bandaged up. I don't know if you can see. Whatever. So when I was going through hard times, I was addicted to vaping, nicotine, minor drug use, minor alcohol use. I don't really drink alcohol. Probably porn. I was probably working out to avoid pain. All these addictions are to avoid pain. There's many forms of addiction: social media, sugar, all these forms of procrastination. Procrastination itself is when you're faced with a big goal that's challenging And you're not procrastinating from the goal. You're procrastinating from the fear and the feeling that facing the goal gives you. So knowing this, what does it look like to feel, period? What does it look like to feel? What does it look like to see the goal and say, I'm scared? Because courage is the ability to feel a fear and continue to move forward anyway. And, Jeff Bezos, the ability to take action just so you have an answer to avoid stress. And so what is addiction? What does Gabor Mate, world's top trauma specialist, talk about addiction? Well, addiction is the inability to feel feelings, but addiction doesn't get the feeling. Addiction actually emphasizes the problem. It doesn't get the feelings to go away. So when we are facing something when we are not facing something, when we're numbing something out, when we have shame, when we have guilt, and we don't want to feel the discomfort of shame and guilt, then we'll run away. When we don't want to feel the pain, then we will go to some kind of pacifier. And it was really interesting for me. The feminine had always sort of been my pacifier. I had a very empathetic, very loving girlfriend and a very, very sweet mother. And last year, or a year and a half ago, my mother got diagnosed with cancer, and I wasn't talking to my girlfriend. So I had no feminine to ease my pain. I had to deal with it on my own. And I ended up mistakenly, unknowingly sort of becoming addicted to sleeping pills and benzodiazepines. And that's another whole YouTube story that I'll share. It's probably the most vulnerable story I could ever share, but probably also the most golden. And I'm going to condense that story for you here now. But I was running away from my feelings of despair and shame and guilt mostly. And after my mom died, and towards the time where my mom died, I learned the most secret weapon ever to accommodate. And that weapon was the weapon of compassion. I learned to see things as the way they are without judgment, and to understand that as human beings, we do things that we're all doing our best. We don't need to take things personally, 4 agreements. And nobody's perfect. And I think that's probably my biggest wound personally, is the perfectionism wound, but it also makes me a good filmmaker and film editor, and but something I'm working on. And this also comes with apologizing. Apologizing is important. Saying I'm sorry is important, but also that comes with guilt and shame. And what if you could forgive yourself and others? Because we are human beings. We're human beings. There's not one person in the world who doesn't have some kind of flaw, some kind of trauma. Sometimes we have bad days, stressful days, we're not eating, we're not sleeping, things are on our mind, we lose money, we lose our parents, we lose love. And in those times when we are feeling hurt, what if we could give ourselves not a shot of liquor, but a shot of compassion? And remind ourselves that we are humans, and part of what's beautiful about humans is not that they're joyful, not that they're happy, but that they're sad. It's such a beautiful thing. And that they're scared. We want to love people who are sad and scared. it's part of life. It's part of this miracle of the range of emotions that we are all privileged enough to feel, and we would not have light without it somehow casting a shadow, and we would not have shadow without the light. In my opinion, life is just a sine wave. Sometimes it's volatile, sometimes it's slow, and just like the stock market, just like everything's this frequency where like literally I was in a place where I was put on, sort of against my will, I was put on some very heavy meds. And I was kind of losing my mind at one point last year. Again, another story. And I was so happy and so empowered just to be able to taper off them on my own without doctor supervision. I was stronger than I became my own doctor, and that was a huge victory. And now my whole back is torn up right now, and I'm already reveling in the day where I can not feel pain in my back. And at the same time, while I do feel this pain, I'm reveling in the fact that it's telling me to be a little bit more safe, be a little bit more grounded, be careful with my risks. No one should be mountain biking at 40 miles an hour down a hill in a tank top on rocks. Not the move. I wore a helmet. That's good. And so for us to see these things that hurt us and to understand with compassion that hurt people. We might be holding these grudges against our parents for abandoning us, against ex-lovers, ex-friends. But how deep have you gone down the rabbit hole of compassion with those people? What were their parents like? What was their childhood like? What is their subconscious programming that is causing them to feel insecure or unsafe? And then as a result, they are in scarcity mindset and having to be selfish to protect themselves, and therefore not really protecting you and not being able to show up for you. What if your parent that abandoned you could barely show up for themselves and was struggling to show up for themselves? Would you still take it so personally to realize that? And are you today, if you've been abandoned, have you given yourself the tools to be your own responsible leader, caretaker? Have you done the work to parent yourself if you didn't have a parent, perhaps? And maybe that's what's happening to me, because I have no parents left. I'm 38, and maybe that's what's going on, is that I'm learning to have compassion for myself and my pain. And it's funny, I did this sound healing breathwork journey the other day, and the shaman brought up this word Atman. Atman is like the higher soul, and it's like this like invincibleness. And this was literally 3 hours after I had this horrible mountain biking crash. And I was thinking to myself, I feel like Atman. I'm like shredded up. And I know it can't stop me. It's like Jesus on the cross. It's like, go ahead, nail my hands to the cross. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, and if you look at all the masculine archetypes of the hero's journey, specifically the book Iron John, which is a story about masculine archetype, There's in the hero's journey, which happens in big cycles and small cycles, the prince falls into what's known as the ashes, and he's shoveling ashes in the back of the furnace of the kitchen of the dungeon of the castle. And he used to be a prince, and he's so humbled because he's fallen from his power. And he gets out of the ashes, and then he's in the garden, and he's tending to the garden and the flowers. And at one point, the princess says, "Hey, garden boy, come bring me flowers." And he doesn't bring her the roses. He doesn't bring her the tulips. He brings her the wild flowers, the ones that are weird looking, but they actually are the ones that smell the best. And the princess is surprised, and he doesn't care. And then the princess gives him a bunch of gold, and he gives it away. And she offers her love, and he doesn't care. Because he has transformed from these ashes and has discovered an unattachment to external validation, because he has probably learned to have compassion and validate himself. And I resonate with this. I'm like no porn, celibate, no alcohol, no drugs kind of place right now, like feeling like I just don't need to run away from myself. I'm like fully here, which is probably why I'm able to show up so vulnerably on YouTube right now. And it's because he has reached what's known as katabasis. Katabasis is a version of an ego death. And for a lot of men, this is a part of your rite of passage. And some men get close to it, but they don't fully reach it, because often a woman or a friend or maybe even a pill will come in and rescue them. You know, I imagine most people on antidepressants are feeling this deep feeling that the universe and their body is trying to signal to them to make a change, and then they numb it out with alcohol or antidepressants or something, and they're not able to face the work needed to find where that pain is coming from and why it exists, and have compassion for the humanness that they carry, and that the pain actually makes perfect sense and it's nothing to run away from. But not everyone gets to experience katabasis, but in Iron John and in many lives of many great leaders, they reach this ego death point where all is lost, and it's just this moment of you're numb. It doesn't matter. Like, bring it on. What's next? I can handle anything. And it's this moment that actually elicits strength. And probably for the masculine, you look at stuff like David Goggins, like Jocko Willink. They are able to tolerate so much fucking pain, and they put it on themselves. Everyone who does these ice baths, it's cold showers. It's a way to practice resilience. It's a very healthy thing. And it's interesting. I was just listening to this podcast, Impact Theory, and this guy was talking about feminine and masculine, and he said, women are attracted to guys who work out and are strong, Not necessarily because their bodies look great, but because it shows subconsciously that they can tolerate discomfort. To lift a fucking weight and tolerate that, and to have the discipline to keep driving and keep pumping through the pain. And it's funny because if you're working out in life, you can't actually build muscle unless you create pain in that muscle. You have to tear the fibers, and it has to hurt for it to grow bigger. And that is the most perfect metaphor for life. That in order for us to grow bigger and stronger, we have to feel the pain and get to a point of pain in order to grow. So if you are struggling, if you are in a depression, if you are facing something that you don't want to face, I have a trainer who teaches a procrastination course. Her name is Grace, and she talks about how to fail is to not try, and to reframe failure as not trying, and to know that like the best thing you can do is gather the data. So what does that have to do with allowing ourselves to feel the pain? Well, the pain is the data. The pain is the data. We could numb out and not even try to feel not even try. I'm also coaching a gentleman, and he keeps saying, I don't know if I can do that. And I responded to him last night, and I said, is that a good thing, a neutral thing, or a bad thing? And he's like, well, it's a bad thing. I don't know if I can get off meds. I don't know if I can make this leap or make that leap or learn how to cook better for myself and build strength and da-da-da-da-da. And I said, so why is that bad? That could also be good at the same time. You don't know if you can? How exciting. Let's get curious. Let's see what happens when we try. And yes, we might fail. Yeah, we might fail. But then we learn because we tried. So, and in a lot of leadership programs, it's like, what are you pretending not to know? Like to know what you don't know is freedom. If you this goes to integrity. Like I'll catch myself all the time listening to someone, and then I check out, and then I'm like, I'm sorry, can you repeat that last sentence? I wasn't listening. Instead of pretending to know, because pretending to know doesn't help. Faking it doesn't help. Numbing it doesn't help. Avoiding the pain doesn't help. It's painful to not listen to someone. So to say, hey, can you repeat that again? Sorry. And so what if all the things that we're scared of, what if those things were opportunities to achieve, to explore, to have a victory, to grow, to build, and opportunities to fail, to get hurt, and to learn. You know that saying, fail fast, fail often. And you know that saying, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So, in summary, I guess I'll just say, what if we looked at pain as an opportunity and met it with this deep, reverent, sincere, honorable praise and thanked it, because it may be the greatest teacher we have ever had. And it may just, and you may not realize it right now. And you may think that if you are stuck, that you may be stuck here forever. But the stock market doesn't just go down forever. A frequency doesn't just go down forever. There gets to a point of katabasis where you just become immune to the pain. You become Atman. And you become grateful for it, and you integrate it. And it allows you to rise like a phoenix out of those ashes into the garden. And if we're talking about hero's journey here, the next phase is you go to battle because you don't give a shit, and you slay, and you win, and you save the kingdom, and you get the princess and make her your queen. If it's the masculine hero's journey. So, with that, I love you. Thanks for watching. Don't get too greedy if you're not in pain. Or do. And then maybe you'll fall and your ego will collapse and you'll hit that katabasis. Or you'll get close and it'll humble you. So that way you can heal yourself and then heal others. You can fill your cup until it overflows so that you can help others fill their cups back up as well. But no one is going to save you as well as you're going to save yourself. The doctor, the psychiatrist, the bottle, the pill, those things can help your symptoms, but they're not going to cure your disease. And my recommendation is to allow yourself to be aware of your addictions and have the discipline to get rid of them so that you can be fully whole in your humanness and love the things that have shaped you into who you are and make you beautifully, imperfectly perfect in the imperfections of everything that you might judge, knowing that those things that you might judge also are gifts that make you stand out as a unique and authentic and beautiful human being. I'm literally covered in bandages, literally down to my ankle. And ego aside, it makes me kind of more interesting and unique at the moment. And it's motivated me to make this post. So, yeah, if you're inspired, share it, comment, like, subscribe, giggle, be curious, and continue to be strong yet soft at the same time. Know what you want while also being delicate with how you consentfully navigate with other people's sensitivities in mind. And especially your own sensitivities, that compassion. Okay, that's all. Peace out.